Hey everybody, and welcome to my Healers Dragonflight PVP star ratings prediction video. If you guys have seen the tank one, it's going to be just like that, where I talk about all forms of PvP. That's 2s, 3s, rated solo shuffle, rated battlegrounds as a whole here, and I vote on 3 different categories. We've got healing output overall, team utility, and ease of play to give it a well-rounded prediction for how good they are going to be going into Dragonflight. If this helps anybody, that's awesome. And of course, remember, they are just predictions. That Dragonflight has not been released yet, and the meta has not developed yet. So if things change, I will happily and gladly update these videos to see where I was wrong, where I totally missed the mark, and anything that I got right. But of course, if you guys have your own predictions, feel free, leave it in the comments below. That's totally cool. I'd love to hear them. I will read every single one. So if you have other star ratings or in reasons why you're changing the star rating from what I did, that is awesome. Leave it and I will read it and respond to it, and we'll talk about it. I can't wait. But that's all I got to say, so let's jump right into it. Starting things off with our Druid. As for healing output, I think that's an easy 5 stars. They've always been the kings of throughput in PvP. They have hots that they apply to everybody. They just do tons of AoE healing. They can even do burst healing with like NS. So they have the single target throughput and the AoE throughput. They've always been really good at that because they don't have a lot of damage reductions for your teammate, right? They don't have Big Dome. They don't have Ultimate Sacrifice, right? They just have throughput. They have Bark Skin and that's about it. But all their hots keep people topped, so they don't have to worry about getting those damage reductions on that burst window because people could stay high health. As well as NS, if somebody really does get bursted down, you can top them real quick and then have those hots keep rolling and try and keep them healthy. That's what our Druid is known for. That's how it heals. I'm not saying it's the best healer because of this. I will tell you what I think the best healer is going to be, and it's going to shock you. But they definitely have the highest throughput that you can have as far as PvP healing goes. So that's a 5-star for me, easy. As for team utility, and that's where they will take a little bit of a hit, that I think is 3 stars. They do have CC effects. They have Bash, Clone, Incap Roar, Entangling Roots, Ursul's Vortex. They even have a damage reduction, Ironbark, right? But that is where it ends. They don't have Big Dome. They don't have immunities. They don't have Bop. They don't have Sack. They don't have Revival. They don't have big shields like Rapture or Life Cocoon, right? To prevent incoming damage. They just have to heal through it. So their utility does not prevent damage. It does not provide damage reductions. They do not provide immunities. They just have some CC. And if they're getting trained, the CC does nothing. So their team utility really takes a lot of a hit there. Especially if they get kicked by like a Warlock while going for a clone. That's 6 seconds of lockout, and all of a sudden they're in bad shape. So their team utility exists. They have CC. It's very clear. They can even go Cat-Af and Rake Stun people. That's pretty crazy. But as far as all the other stuff, utility is not just crowd control. It's damage mitigation. It's damage reduction. It's area of effect denial. It's immunities, right? They don't really have much of that at all. And this is why their throughput has to stay so high. So 3 stars there. Ease of play, I'm going to give the nod to our Druid players here for sure. Probably 1 star. They have to micromanage everything. They have to keep hots on everybody. They have to react to burst situations. They need to shift cat form and get a rake stun and then clone somebody out of it. They have to clone cooldowns. They have to clone healers. They have to shift the clone. They can clone somebody low and then shift the clone over to the healer. They got Ursul's before a port. They can't just throw it out for no reason. They got Ursul's right before the mobility, so that's a prediction they have to make. They have to be shifting forms. They have to shift out of roots. They have to play defensive, otherwise they can get swapped to and stun out of form. They have to shift polys. They have to shift hex. Yeah. They have a lot they can do. I know it seems like with all these tools, they would be easy to play because it's like, look, you have an answer for everything, but try it yourself. I mean, I kind of struggled with it. I'm sure there's trillions of better Druids than me, and for a good reason. They practice, they learn, they improve, and they do a great job. So nods to you, Restoration Druid. I think your class is a 1 star for ease of play, and congratulations for all that you've accomplished micromanaging all of the effects that our Druid can put into a game. Wild. Great job. Next, we have Restoration Shaman, and if you kill the Healing Tide Totem, I think their output is just 2 stars. Some of their mechanics don't even work in a PvP environment, like Healing Rains, and take Chain Heal out of the conversation now that they don't have the 4 set, because they have to cast that thing, and casting Chain Heal is like a death sentence. Their healing output revolved around a lot of things they don't have right now, and again, if you kill the Tide, they lose like 30% of their healing done. They have to cast spells. They can Riptide people and unleash life, but then once they run out of buttons to press, they have to start casting. And if they get kicked, they just sit there. They do nothing. They can't even CC without having to be worried about getting kicked and then actually locked out of all their healing spells, right? That's Hex. It's nature. So that's a huge problem. Their throughput is just very low right now, and some of their mechanics just don't even work well in a PvP environment. Again, nobody's going to stand on the healing rain. Good luck with that. Chain heal is very difficult to get off. If you get kicked on it, it's a death sentence. So throughput for our Shamans, sorry, just 2 stars right now. As for team utility, that can't be much better. That has to be 2 stars as well. They have answers. They have Grounding Totem. That's pretty impactful. They have Tremor Totem to get you out of fears. Your whole team. That's really cool. You can pre-Tremor a priest running into fear. You can Hex people. Like I said, that comes with a cost. If you get kicked on Hex, then you also can't heal. That's kind of crappy. You have Earth Grab as well. And you have Cap Totem. But it's all kind of not insanely impactful or a little bit clunky or very risky. Right, and other than that, they really have their main 2 buttons, Tremor and Grounding. And Tremor and Grounding alone are fantastic, but as an entire toolkit, I mean, what does that get you up to? I think it gets you up to 2 stars. You are missing still some important damage mitigation for your teammates and a lot of less clunky CC. They have Lasso now, but even that's clunky because it's a channel. So our Shamans right now going into Dragonflight, and I'm certain I'm not the only one that thinks this. I've seen some other tier lists, and they are not high. It does look like they are going to be kind of bottom of the barrel as far as Season 1 goes, unless something changes as far as healers go. So 2 stars for team utility, and again, I'm sorry. Now on to ease of play. If this was Shadowlands Season 4, I would be making a joke right now, but it's not. Their 4 set is gone, and a lot of their cool effects for just pressing buttons and doing unlimited healing is gone. So once again, probably just 2 stars. It's hard to get into. You have to know when to go for damage, which is a different school from your healing, but then you have to know when to go for CC because that's the same school as your healing. You got to find a way to land caps. You got to find a way to properly position earthens. If people walk out of your stuff, you do nothing. When are you trinket linking? Because if you trinket, all of a sudden you're a sitting duck. There's a lot to micromanage. You can be punished very hard for mistakes that you make right now, and your positioning can be punished too because people can just pull you into a pile. Death grip, stun. Oh God, I'm dead. Anybody have a peel from? No, I'm dead. Okay, see you later. All right, so ease of play. It's not easy right now to be an Ars Shaman, and as a result of the triple 2-star, right? I don't think I have inspired a lot of people to play Ars Shaman. Maybe I'm entirely wrong, but I've talked to my rank 1 Ars Shaman friend, and he's not loving it. So maybe I'm totally wrong. Again, these are predictions. I would be happy to update this for Ars Shaman players everywhere in Dragonflight if the meta develops in a way that makes them awesome. But these are my predictions. 2 stars, ease of play. Next, moving on to Mistweaver, and for healing output, that is a big 5 stars. A huge 5 stars. They're the most unmatched throughput in the game. If you just let them do whatever. Our Druid's got the hots, but they've got the channels. That big Vivify bombs can constantly top somebody from 0 over and over and over. They've got Enveloping Mist, which is a huge hot. They have Renewing Mist, which is a huge hot. They have talents now that buff Life Cocoon to make it like double your health pool if you get all the talent juice that it gives you. Then Life Cocoon is just this massive shield that also increases all your hots and also applies your hots to that player. So even if they somehow go through the bubble, you have topped them regardless. You have Revival, which is a massive AoE heal. Huge scales up in RBGs, and it makes them immune to all CC, magical effects, and magical dots. On a shorter cooldown because of the PvP talent that does both things. Oh my goodness. I mean, they just have throughput for days. In an arena environment, that is the best because they have that channel like focused heals onto one guy. But even into RBGs with multi-hotting, revival, and just finding the target that's low, vivifying them, it still does a ton of throughput. So Mistweaver, throughput, top end, 5 stars. We're loving it. For team utility, I think I have to give that the 3 stars that our Druid got for similar reasons. They got some CC, Parasweep. They have ROP, which is a cool utility button. You can knock people out of Dome. You can knock people out of Trank. They have Revival, although that's just a few brief seconds of immunity. That does count as utility because you can take all their dots off of them, all their crowd control effects off them. That's actually a big utility button. And that's where it stops. No team damage reduction at all. No area effect denial at all. They have Life Cocoon, but again, that's the healing button. We already talked about that in healing. It would be hard to talk about that in team utility as well. They don't really have damage reduction at all. They have great mobility, though, but that's not really team utility. That's self-utility, and I already said that I think they're going to be a massive throughput healer and also hard-to-kill healer, so their self-sustain and value in Arena is going to be top-notch. But we got to give it the same nod that we gave our Druid, and that is a 3-star team utility spec. For ease of play for Mistweaver Monk, I would say 3 stars. Once you start channeling, you can top somebody. If you're ever in a pinch, you can press Life Cocoon. If you're ever in a different pinch, you can press Revival. And you have Port, and then another Port, and then 2 rolls, and you are mobile, and you have Tiger's Lust, and you can get yourself out of trouble. So you've got a lot of ways to be okay. And you don't really have to go for much offensive pressure. You can just parasweep people when you feel like you've got a kill. You don't really have to come in and start punching them like Way of the Crane Monk, but even Way of the Crane Monk was probably easy to play because you just press Way of the Crane and then punch people and it would heal everybody on your team. So 3 stars, it's not dreadfully hard, but it's not just like free. It's just a spec where you got to manage your positioning well, but you got all these mobility buttons to make sure that you can get out of harm's way anyway, and your throughput is very high, so you should be able to keep your team alive if played properly. 3 stars, ease of play for Mistweaver. Now we got Disc Priest. Throughput, 4 stars. Atonement healing and proper atonement play gives you a lot of sustain healing, but that's an interesting way to get sustain healing. It's not from HOTS or from casted spells or for instant casts. It's actually from playing aggressive. Ultimate Radiance helps supplement that problem by giving you a big instant cast AoE heal that applies atonement on all your teammates. But when it comes to getting somebody up from low health and helping them recover from a bursty situation, Disc Priest does not do that super well. Its single target throughput as a result is very low. It is a snowball pressure healer. It's a ultimate radiance to top people, get atonement on them, and then just apply damage to the enemy team to keep our team healthy by making their team on the back foot and our team healed by atonement healing and all the throughput that provides. So that's why it's 4 stars. Otherwise, it would be 5. The AoE burst that it gets from Radiance Healing is crazy, and the Atonement can be a ton of actual output over the course of a game. But when it comes to recovering one player from low health, if you don't have a Radiance charge, Shadow or Flash Heal, it's not really doing that much, okay? You're not just like bombing 100k heals into them. It's kind of sometimes they'll just stay low even through your output. So you have to be on top of things as a Disc Priest, and that's 4 stars output. Next, we have team utility for Disc Priests, and this is an easy 5 stars. And this is what 5 stars looks like. If you guys were frustrated by my other, maybe you thought our Druid should be a little bit higher, just let me explain this and maybe we'll be on the same page. First, Dome of Light, PvP talent. Short cooldown, 50% damage reduction to everybody in the dome. That completely cancels goes in RBGs. It completely cancels A-bomb limb goes. It completely cancels all goes inside that, which means it's not just on one player. If they want to swap, they might not even be able to do that if you have both those players in the dome. They can't even swap off like a Paint Sup or an Iron Bark. They have to be like, oh, our go is ruined because he pressed dome, right? And that's just one button. Then you have Paint Sup, which is now, okay, I used Dome for one go. What about the next go? That's all right, I'll Paint Sup, and I can still do it in stuns. So you could stun me, and I could pre-Paint Sup a trap. Like, let's say you want to int him and then trap me from a hunter. Nope, I can Paint Sup your trap and give my teammate a 40% wall while I was CC'd, right? So now you have another damage reduction. Okay, well, what about other types of utility? You have Purge. So you can take Hots off of our Druids, Riptide off of our Shaman, Enveloping Mist off of Mistweaver, Bop off of H-Pal. You can take all of these buffs away from them too, like PI or Combustion or any other purgeable buffs. You have Purge, but then you have Mass Dispel, so you can take off a ton of CC. You can take off undispellable CC like Clone. You can take off undispellable immunities like Bubble and Block from a Ret or a Holy Paladin or a Mage, of course. You have MD, you have CC, you have Fear, right? You have Mind Control, you have Life Grip. You have so many team utility-based tools. That's what it looks like, right? Purge, MD, Damage Reduction, Dome, Life Grip, Mind Control, Fear. You have the CC that certain other specs have, and Holy even has more than that. We'll get to that in a second. But you also have all these other things. Team utility isn't just crowd control. It's the ability to disrupt a go, and Priests can do it in so many different ways. Disc Priest, 5 stars team utility. As for ease of play, I'm going to put it right in the middle at 3 stars. And there's a really good reason for this, I think. They have some crutch buttons. Ultimate Radiance, you press it and you just heal your entire team for a huge amount while applying Atonement to all of them. You also have Dome, like I said, a huge denial to their goes. But good Disc Priests, of which I am not, but good Disc Priests will tell you, one of the biggest disparities between a good Disc Priest and somebody just starting out is Atonement healing. And I have seen this personally. It's probably the biggest disparity I've ever seen in any healer. I've played a lot of RBGs, a lot of arenas, and good Disc Priests, really, the masters of their class, Atonement healing will be like 40% of their healing. But people just starting out, it'll be like 4%. Just go look at a meter and you'll see for yourself. This is one of the craziest disparities in all of WoW skill gap history. It's just min-maxing how much Atonement healing you get out. And it's because there's a lot to micromanage. You've got to be snowballing pressure. You've got to be using your defensives right, but you got to position on the map aggressively so you can actually get damage out when you have a chance to do so. But you can't be positioned too aggressively or you'll be in the middle of the map and you're getting get CC'd or swapped to and killed, right? You can't just stand there and just be like, oh, do whatever to me. Here, spam poly me, spam clone me, right? So you have to be positioned in a way where you can pressure the enemy team and get Atonement healing and do damage and cast Smite. But you also can't be positioned in a way where you're just getting picked on by all of the CC effects or damage from the other team, right? So that's a hard thing to balance, and that's why I think there's such a disparity there. So I think it's perfectly right in the middle at 3 stars. There's some really difficult skill ceiling mechanics of Disc, but getting into it, just pressing Radiance and topping your whole team, maybe not so hard. This is a good example of skill floor versus skill ceiling. So 3 stars for Disc. Ease of play. All right, moving on to Holy Priest in PvP, and I think this is 3 stars for output, but I might be giving it actually too much credit. I'm sorry to say that, but you have some single target throughput for sure. You've got 2 big instant cast heals from Serenity, and you've got Renew that you can put on multiple targets and Prayer of Mending, but that's not a lot, right? Unlike our druids that can just keep their entire team healthy by their insane constant HOTS throughput, or Disc that can just have a big AoE heal from Radiance and then Atonement healing to supplement that. You don't really have those effects, right? You are kind of out of luck once you've pressed all your buttons, and you do have reactions and panic buttons, but as for overall, just like top the meters throughput, no, I don't think that's what Holy Priest has at all. So 3 star, but I might be being generous. It could be 2 stars. That's just my prediction, but I don't see it being the king of throughput at all. As for team utility, 4 stars. It doesn't have Dome and Pain Sup, and I talked about how incredibly valuable those are, but it has Purge, it has MD, it has Mind Control, it has Fear, it even has a way to set up its own Fear with Chastise, and it has tons of actual damage. While it does not heal your teammates with Atonement, offensive pressure is still team utility because you can put them on the back foot or land a kill, right? And Holy Fire hits hard as Holy Priest, especially when you use that talent, right, to give you the insta-cast. It's chunking people. As a Holy Priest, you're chunking people. That's crazy. You can even land a kill on kill target by chastising them low. You still have Life Grip as well, of course. And you do have self-utility, right? You have some focused will damage reduction, but you also have the Spirit form where if you die, you can come back to life, or you can just win a solo shuffle while you're in the Spirit form itself. So definitely 4 stars. That's an easy grab there. Even though they don't have Dome, they have all those other buttons, and that's a 4-star team utility spec. Okay, and finally, ease of play. If this was Shadowlands Season 3, I would say 100 stars. As for right now, I'll just give it the nod for 4. Your casts are generally instant. Prayer of Mending, Serenity, Renew. Your utility is not very difficult to use because you press a button that makes all your damage instant as well. You can press Guardian on somebody and that's instant and it saves them for death. You can press Chastise and that's instant, and you can press Fear and that's instant. So setting things up, it's not nearly as difficult as like an Druid or an Shaman. But I gave it the 4-star instead of the 5 because unlike Shadowlands Season 3, where you could just panic and press any button in any order, it does seem like your overall throughput is not quite high enough to really just save you from any possible mistakes. You can get punished for some of the things that you do wrong, even though if you die, you come back to life sometimes, depending on what talent you're choosing. That does make it actually harder for you to heal your teammates because it's on a node choice with the second Serenity charge. So that does definitely make Some difficult choices for Holy Priest and does make it a little harder to play, but I'm still saying 4 stars because of all the instant cast effects that you can just press and let it go. All right, moving on to H-Pally, I'm going to say the throughput is 3 stars, and that's not just because I play it so badly, but because I think outside of Wings, their throughput is very, very, very low. I think their single target casted spells, 1, have to be casted, and 2, don't actually top people from 0 like they used to, right? While their Avenging Crusader and their melee wings, rather, does an enormous amount of healing, and they still have a big flash of lights with everything going, with like procs and divine favor. Once their cooldowns start to go down, they're cooling down, their throughput just drops significantly to near nothing, especially if they ever get kicked, it's just over. They don't have hots they can apply to somebody, right? They have bestow faith. They don't have hots, so for overall throughput, I mean, definitely they have that big bursty healing, but their complete package, not quite. They are very, very low output outside of cooldowns, so that's why I'm giving it 3 stars. As for team utility, that's an easy 5 stars. I'm pretty sure I referenced Holy Paladin when talking about team utility and other classes. Yeah, it's got the big CC, 6-second Hodge into 6-second Blind, both instant cast. That's huge for taking a healer out of the game. But then it has Bop, physical damage immunity and CC immunity. You can bop off Disarm, bop off Stormbolt. You have Blessing of Sack, which could be Ultimate Sack, which is full immunity for your teammate, or you could put the small sack on them. It lasts longer, and it breaks you out of crowd control just for having pressed it. You have freedom for your teammates. You have damage reduction for your teammates. You have Aura Mastery from your teammates with Concentration Aura. You have a lot of tools. And if it all fails, you can Bubble. Bubble gets you out of not just self-harm, but immunity to all CC as well, baby. So you can just make sure your team has another chance to live. You also have damage because you have some judgment talents and melee wings, making you able to heal your team while doing damage. And that's what team utility is. All of those different things. It's not just CC. It's not just damage mitigation. It's all of this stuff. And H-Pal's got a great toolkit for it, so easy. 5 stars. As for ease of play, I'm going to say 2 stars. I mean, yes, when they're during wings, they just ooze output. They can even throw judgments during melee wings to do damage and heal. But once their cooldowns go down, I talked about this a lot, their throughput goes way down, which means they have to manage that damage reduction, immunities, and any other way they can prevent death for their team very well during those windows because their healing is going to be a little bit more scarce. Otherwise, I did say they could go in for that instant CC, and it is a long CC chain, but you know what they have to do? They have to go to that healer, which puts them in a really rough spot because H-Pal can die. Sure, they have Bubble, but once that's down, their damage reduction for themselves is very low, and they can easily just get punished. They can get stunned in the middle of the map and just die from 100% health. They also could get CC'd when they run over there, or they could get kicked from anywhere because they do have to cast a lot once their cooldowns are down, and once you start getting spam kicked, you just sit there and do nothing. Again, you have no hots. So ease of play for H-Pal, you cannot just be wherever, you can't do whatever. You have to really be impactful with all your globals because you don't have hots to sustain people while you're going off and doing whatever, right? So ease of play, just 2 stars. It can get punished very hard. Last but not least, we have Preservation, and of course I do have to do a cop-out here. I'm going to give it some question marks, but with some faded guesses from me. I think 5 stars healing output, 5 stars team utility, 2 stars ease of play. I really do think it's going to be that good. They have tons of throughput. They're very slippery. They can get out of like any movement slow in the game, and they can do it with multiple charges on a short cooldown. They can get anywhere on the map. They can lock people down or be impossible to lock down themselves. They have 2 charges of a wall. They have things they can use in stuns. That's always a big one. Killing them is tricky, and their throughput is so high that killing their teammates is tricky. They also have like cooldown reduction effects, and you can pick somebody up and move them safer, or you can pick up an enemy and move them somewhere terrible, right? You have stuns, you have positioning, talents and abilities that you can take advantage of what they're doing wrong or what you're doing right. I just feel like there's a lot there in Preservation. I don't think I'm the only one who's saying this, by the way. I think there have been tier lists that have Preservation rated very, very high. I just think it's a great healer right now. And the only reason I have it hard to play is because it's brand new. I mean, people have to get adjusted to a brand new spec with all new mechanics and abilities and stuff to work with. It's going to be tough to get into, but later in the expansion, it might be even easier to play. Who knows how easy it is to play? It's just brand new. So of course, faded 5-star guesses for me on healing and utility. It does seem like a remarkably good healer, but who knows? The meta hasn't developed. The expansion isn't out yet. I don't know. I could be dead wrong. It just looks good. So that's preservation. Good luck. Have fun trying that one out. I can't wait. All right, so that's my final list. If you guys like this series, please let me know. If there's anything you need me to add, I would be happy to do it. This was just a request from people, so I'm just trying to make the best video for what you guys actually wanted. And of course, please, in the comments below, leave your own predictions. Whatever star ratings you think I missed, that I got terribly wrong, just give me your rationale why, and we can talk about it. I can't wait to have discussions with you guys about theory crafting in the comments, so please let me know. But that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Seriously, it means the world to me. Peace.